Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Map it out. Yeah.
We're gonna keep it.
Yeah.
Like-
That's huge.
Well, leave everything else running.
Yeah, well, RJM too, the firm we selected for the development.
Madam, good to see you there. Welcome. Thanks. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Like,
Go from 70 to 0 people. Right side, like, so glad to be here. That's why. I know. Yeah. So you were saying I come back to what I think you made when I talked about the well, I guess like on that and I was kind of my hopes like maybe I didn't want to like to yeah. Well, I don't know about the program. Yeah, for you know, that's why even though that's like here and I have work every so glad to hear that. Yeah, if you need any help navigating through it, just let me know. Yeah. Everybody's kind of naturally separated a little bit more. Everybody's like separated at the tables a little bit more than their groups than usual. I know. The lowest. Yeah. Yeah.
almost 25% of the population.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. One person could have filled out.
Okay.
Look at all the test scores.
Yeah.
Data. It's like almost at 5,000. They got a 19,000 population.
Is that pretty good compared to?
If we look at these, like, we were just under 100 there, that's fine. Well over 100 there, that's fine. This is our statistical development.
Yeah.
It's gotta have. Range.
All right. Awesome. Oh, we just got a little rush. Okay. Maybe a couple more. Yeah. know. Life, I know. Yeah. Because we're also used to like moving all to this now, but then it used to be a lot more like in person. I know. I know. I barely see you around over there either. Yeah.
I can see you guys.
Yeah.
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 Jessica's on one side, well, Bessie.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Next year.
Yeah.
Still be going. and-
Well, yeah, I
Like
mean,
something-
I'm so glad you're here. So important. I mean, you know our services so well. It's so nice to have someone who's a familiar face at the community center, knows what's happening, you know, like.
Show. The last of the like.
Yeah, and he usually like, he's so funny. He like pops his head in at the beginning and then I introduce him and then I can't find him the rest of the time. So I'm not gonna do introductions this time because people go looking for him. Yeah,
No.
that's what he does. He just pops in. I'm like, oh, Lucho's here. And then
Yeah, and then our.
I was like, you just want that acknowledgement that you came at the beginning? Is that what's going on? I know. He's always bouncing around. I know. Nice to see you. Yeah, we still got a couple people checking in back there, but yeah, do you want to make it?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? If you can hear the sound of my voice. Well, no, I'm going to do that joke later on. Come on in, please. We're going to go ahead and start. Come on in, have a seat, and we'll get the show on the road. So please come on in. Come on in, have a seat. Anywhere you want to sit. Anywhere you want to sit. Come on in. Come on in.
Watch out for the guy with the speech.
Okay. It is a pleasure. If I can have your attention, please. Okay, we'll do it. We're doing. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap 5 times. That is the only way I get an applause. I know the joke gets old after the 3rd time. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Bittersweet night tonight. This is the last time I get to do a live in-person workshop with you, but it is not the last time to have your voice heard during the process. And I'll talk about how to continue to stay involved as we move on. But without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Lisa here to kick us off.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, everyone, for attending our third and final community-wide workshop for the Parks Master Plan. This evening, we are going to begin with an overview of the Community Resources Department, which is essentially your Parks and Recreation Department for the city of Hermosa Beach, our services. Then I'm going to hand it over to Zach with RJM Design Group, which is the firm that we selected for the development of our Parks Master Plan. And he's going to speak to why a Parks Master Plan is such an incredibly important action plan for cities. And then he's going to turn it back over to me, and I'm going to share about the last Parks Master Plan we did, which was in 1990, and some of the goals that were met through that plan. And before I get into my presentation, I just want to acknowledge some members here tonight of our Public Works and Parks Commission, including the entirety of our Parks Master Plan Subcommittee, which consists of 2 members from the Parks Commission and 2 members from the Public Works Commission. So if you could just all raise your hand so everyone knows who you are. They're seated around. We have a couple of our community resources team members here this evening. Kaylin, our office assistant, who will be managing our presentations. We have our senior recreation supervisor in the back, and we have our project manager as well for the Parks Master Plan, John Jones. He was the former community services director for the city of Torrance for decades. Mr. Parks and Rec. Okay, so to jump into my presentation, it will start with an introduction of the Community Resources Department team, and then we will get into the facilities and parks that we oversee recreation services at and the use of, and then we will finalize with an overview of our department programs. So who is Community Resources? Again, we are the recreation department for the city of Hermosa Beach. I am the Community Resources Manager, Lisa, and I oversee the department. I directly supervise our senior recreation supervisor, who oversees a team of 4 full-time employees. That's 2 recreation coordinators, a rec specialist, and our office assistant. And then in the orange bubbles, you see all of our part-time team members. We have 2 theaters at the community center. So we have a lead theater technician and theater technician staff. We have our recreation leaders. We have our lead youth programs counselor and youth programs counselors that work in our park after school program and our beloved Valley Park summer day camp. So all those there in orange are really the ones that are out in the field and in the programs. They're the backbone of our department as our part-time team. This is an overview of the facilities and parks that our department oversees. And for indoor facilities, we oversee the use of the community center and all the reservations and activities there. That includes meeting and dance rooms, the Hermosa 5-0 Senior Activity Center, the community theater, our 2nd-story theater, and a gymnasium. We oversee the use of the Clark Building, the South Park Building, where there are 4 classrooms there. That location is currently the home of our Park After School program. And we oversee the use of the Kiwanis Club and Rotary Club and the Lawn Bowling Club. And I just realized that they cut off of my Lawn Bowling Club still, even though I thought I fixed that from last time. And then outdoor facilities, we oversee the beach parks and fields within the city, the green belts, the skate park at the community center, tennis courts throughout the city. So we have our tennis courts at the community center and the Clark complex, the pickleball courts at the Clark complex, the basketball courts at the Clark complex and throughout parks in our city, the beach volleyball courts, and the beach tennis courts. And then an overview of our programs. So we oversee all the recreation classes, camps, leagues, and excursions throughout the city. Excursions are once-a-month bus trips that we do to destinations throughout Southern California. So for example, we host twice annually now a trip to Catalina Island for the day, where the bus picks you up at the community center, takes you to Catalina Island, and then brings you back at the end of the day. That's one of our more popular ones. But we also go to places like the Hollywood Bowl, the Getty Museum. So it's just a fun and easy day to get out and about because we take you on the bus all around. We have our Park After School program. We oversee all film and still photo permits in the city, and that's on public property and private property. We oversee all the special events in the city on public property. This year alone, we processed over 50 52, I think it actually the exact number is 52 special event permits for the city. So that was 52 different events for the community to enjoy throughout the year thus far. And then we also host and create our own events. We work with Heal the Bay for a Coastal Cleanup Day annually in the month of September. We're bringing back our concert series in the year 2024 with the city serving as host. We host community movie nights at our community theater. We have Carrie, a screening of Carrie, which for those who don't know was actually filmed at the community center, taking place on Friday, October 13th. So if you're interested in joining that event, it's hermosabeach.gov/recreation. We'll go on a tour of all the filming spots, and we'll have a prom costume contest. So it's going to be a good night. It will be, I think, our 4th time doing that event. And then we have our Sand Snowman contest, our Surfers Walk of Fame weekend, which we host in partnership with Spider Surf and the South Bay Board Riders Club and our Hermosa Beach Museum. And then we have our Veterans Day wreath laying ceremony each Veterans Day. We have our Hermosa 5 Senior Activity Center. We oversee park reservations at Valley and South Park, which are available to residents to reserve tables, to host a party, a birthday party, and also to have a bounce house at Valley Park. And then we have our outdoor fitness permit program and oversee all the use of the fields. It's really Clark Field and Valley Field, any permits at those facilities. So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Zach now.
Thank you very much, Lisa. I really appreciate that. It is tremendous, the amount of resources, programs, and facilities that the city offers here. And one of the things that we do as we go through this is we look at what you have and then what you want. So next slide, please. The purpose of this master plan is really to develop an actionable plan, an action item list of what can we do in the future to balance those scales, what we have and what we want to do. What are the recreation needs today, tomorrow, and in the future? This document will be based on local community needs. That's one of the most important parts here. It's not about my assessment. It's about what we hear from the community, why we're here tonight, to listen to you. Then as we go through the document, we'll develop goals, strategies for park improvements, program improvements, as well as balanced financial analysis. And then the recommendations are going to be based off of what we heard from the community, what we saw in the parks, then how we can balance those scales. Next slide, please. We go through 5 stages in order to accomplish this. The first one was an inventory of the existing condition. We went around, looked at all the park facilities, photo inventoried everything. And then we go through an extensive community engagement process where we have multimodal phone surveys, workshops such as this, online surveys, and feedback opportunities. Then we weigh those two together to come up with the needs analysis. Ultimately, that derives into the recommendations, and then we pair that with funding and implementation strategies. How are we going to pay for this? Today, tomorrow, and in the future? What are our opportunities? Next slide, please. As I mentioned, it's a little bit bittersweet. You can see here we are on our timeline. We're getting closer to the end. That always makes me a little sad because I get to know communities as I go through these projects. And tonight is our 3rd and final in-person workshop. Doesn't mean it's the end of the outreach. There's going to be an online survey starting today for the next few weeks for the workshop tonight. And there will also be the feedback opportunities as well too. And then I'll come back at the end and we'll give you a presentation on all of our summary findings. Next slide, please. As Lisa mentioned earlier, when we start, we go through an inventory of the existing conditions. We look at the existing documentation. We'll look at the parks and facilities, the program inventories, and the demographics. Next slide, please. Now, I won't go through all of the elements here. Lisa did a great job kind of articulating all the exciting programs and facilities that exist within the city. But as you go through, just quick high level, 3 community parks, 6 neighborhood parks, 4 parkettes, the green belt, beautiful beach, pier plaza, the Strand, and then all the recreation buildings. Next slide, please. One of the things we look at is where those facilities are. Where are the parks? And we do a lot of mapping analysis. Where are the neighborhoods? And we continue our mapping analysis. Where do people live? What are they saying? What are they asking for? So as we go through, please make sure you indicate on the sheets where you live. If you take the survey, fill out the survey and where you live. So that way we can start to pair these things together. What is the community looking for throughout the city? Next slide, please. And then the programs. There are a myriad of programs here within the city, everything from youth and adult services, classes, community events, health and well-being, organized sports, outdoor recreation programming, community facility, rentals, senior programs, and special need programs. Lisa went through a much more detailed list. Honestly, the Catalina program is very exciting. I would love to do that one day. Next slide, please. I also talked about the demographics as part of our background research. When we go through this, we look at the demography of the community. What we find on this one is we break it down during age ranges. The population total first is just over 19,000 in 2021. But when we break that down into population, the 19 and under, you can see the blue column there. There's a dashed line on that chart. That's the county average. Well, that population is lower than the county average. We also look at it as we go forward. Some of the highest percentage of residents are from the age of 35 to 64. And you can see that's above the county line. That's above average. So is the 20 to 34 population age range. And then when we get into the 65 plus, that's along the lines of the county average. Now, this is just one lens. Oh, sorry. I know you're taking a picture of that, not me. It's okay. Now, that's just one lens. We look at this in relationship to what are we hearing from the community? What programs might different generations look for in terms of services and facilities? And then we pair that with all the information we collect. Next slide, please. Now, I've added some numbers in here, and if you've been to our previous workshops or you've seen the online videos, this is very similar to what we've presented before in the past. But as we go through tonight, I'm going to share a little bit more information of what we've heard. This information is also posted on the website as well as the video. And I'm going to share that with you, and then we're going to ask a couple questions tonight. So what we've done is we went through that community outreach. We've had 12 stakeholder interviews. We've had more than 3,600 views on the project website, 143 feedback submittals. We received 86 completed surveys on workshop 1, 249 surveys on workshop 2. The multimodal survey, we surveyed 300 households. And with the population at, I believe it's 2.1 per household, we get 639 responses out of that because we survey the entire household, not just an individual. Next slide, please. So we've had a tremendous amount of participation within this process. And I want to encourage you to do more. Make sure when you go home tonight, talk to your neighbors again. Say, did you take the next workshop survey? I didn't see it at the workshop. Take the survey. Have your friends take the survey. Anybody who lives within the community, let them know. Let your friends and family know, your neighbors know, so that way we can keep those numbers going. We can hear from as much of the community as possible. I want to share a little bit of information tonight. During the multimodal survey, we surveyed the entire community from a statistically valid lens, if you will. And one of the things I look for is the geographic distribution, not just demographic distribution, but the geographic distribution. And on the right-hand side, you can see all the orange dots. That is where we collected all the information. So right off the bat, I see I get a good representation of people all across the city. That's important. And what we heard from this survey, just sharing a couple of the items, 81% of the participants of the statistically valid multimodal survey are satisfied with the maintenance of parks and recreation facilities in Hermosa Beach. 76% of the participants are satisfied with the recreation facilities programs provided by the city of Hermosa Beach. And then 48% of those participants said they get their news and information about the city, parks, recreation facilities, and programs through the city website. This is important information. Now we have several different levels of responses on that too, but it helps us understand where do we need to market. We're going to have a new program. Where do we market that program? How do we get the communication out to the community? So part of this process that we've asked all along, and I will ask at the end of the night again too, where you heard about this workshop, helps us to understand how do we continue to market these things? How do we continue to market the programs to make sure that they're successful? Next slide, please. We also asked as part of that multimodal survey, what is one park feature or recreation facility you would like to see added or improved within the city? And you can see here some of the top 10 items listed in alpha order. Everything from Clark Field improvements, community center improvements, dog park, Noble Park, pickleball courts, restrooms, South Park, skate park, swimming pool, and Valley Park. We also asked, what is one recreation program you would like to see or class you would like to see added or improved within the city? We heard everything, again, alpha ordered from art, exercise programs, cooking programs, dog training, dance, pickleball programs, swimming, surfing, tennis, and yoga. We heard a lot of information. The list goes on and on and on throughout that. And everything is recorded as we go through this process. So that way nothing gets left off the table. As we go through these, I look for common threads. Now, if you've been to our workshops in the past too, you'll notice these common threads exist among all community members. And I start to look and listen for those as we go through each of the outreach modes. Next slide, please. Workshop 1 was held on June 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. in this room. And we had 86 total completed surveys. And again, I look at that distribution pattern on the map on the right-hand side there. You can see the orange dots. Again, a really clean distribution of community members all across the city. Next slide, please. Questions that we asked during that workshop were, what are the most important community characteristics that make the city a great place to live, work, and play? What are some of the issues or trends that may be negatively impacting those community characteristics? And then what role can the Community Services Department play in addressing those issues? What can Lisa do to fix it? Sorry, Lisa, I'm just putting you on the spot. So what we see and what we heard from those community characteristics were small town feel. It's the beach, it's the ocean. We love the walkability, the community itself, parks, outdoors, the events, the safety, and the restaurants. Some of the issues that might potentially impact those great community characteristics, according to the participants of that workshop, were e-bike rules. Is the e-bikes that we're having problems with on the strands, e-bike speed, lack of a dog park, parking, homelessness, pedestrian street safety, lack of funding. And how can the Community Services Department start to address those issues and preserve those community characteristics? Was community engagement, pickleball, provide dog area, enforce the e-bike rules, maintenance, communication, and more events. So we collect everything, and they're summarized here on this chart just so I could get the presentation through, but we collect everything you write down, everything you give me as we go through the night. I hand out a lot of pieces of paper. Everything you write down gets recorded. So that way we can look for those common threads, those understandings on what you're looking for here within the community. Next slide, please. Workshop 2 was held on August 10th, 6 to 8 p.m. in this room here. We had 249 completed surveys as part of this outreach process. So you can see again, an even distribution of all those orange dots all across the city. That's great. It tells me that we have good participation distributed throughout the entire community. This isn't just one segment of the area that we have to worry about. Next slide. As part of that workshop, we asked a number of questions, which was, what park or recreation facility do you or your members of your household visit the most? What is one park, feature, or recreation facility you would like to see added or improved? What is one recreation program, class, or activity you would like to see added or improved? So similar questions. As you see, we asked these throughout the entire process. And what we heard was the park that you visit the most was the beach, the pier, Pier Plaza, and the Strand, Clark Field, the Greenbelt, South Park, and Valley Park. Some of the items that we had heard is, what is one park, feature, or recreation facility you would like to see added or improved? Was the community pool, the dog area or dog park, lawn bowling, pickleball court, strand improvements. What is one recreation program, class, or activity you would like to see? Concerts, e-bike rules, safety, pickleball, swimming, theater, and programming were all elements we heard. Now, again, these are summarized down to smaller words that I can fit with on the screen. But as we go through this, we record the entire element. Next slide, please. Now, earlier on in the process too, we went through and we met with a lot of community stakeholders, and we had similar conversations through a stakeholder interview with them on what they're looking for. What do they think the community is looking for? And what we heard, I won't list all of them here, but we heard also program needs and facility needs. And what you see is there's a lot of commonality in there too. So we continue to probe in different ways of, what does the community look for? What are we looking for in terms of programs? What are we looking for in terms of facilities? And you can see here some of those programs. I'll just read a few of them. Were the camps, the communication and advertising, concerts, e-bike safety, the senior programs, special events, youth programs. Some of the facility mentions included greenbelt improvements, park improvements, shade structures, restroom improvements, swimming pool, some common threads just in those. Next slide, please. Now, as we go through tonight is unfortunately the last in-person workshop. I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming out and spending your evening with me. But we'll have a survey open for the same workshop for 2 weeks after this. After that, this feedback button is still available. Even if you go home tonight, this feedback button is still available. If there's something you get home and you go, oh, I forgot to tell Zach this, I want to add this. You can click on that feedback button, go to hermosabeach.gov/parks master plan, Click on that button and you can write in anything you would like. I would love to hear it. This opportunity exists tonight. It's going to exist tomorrow. You can send it 2 or 3 times to me. We read everything that is submitted to us. I know he's taking a picture of the slide, but somehow I feel like I was in the frame. No, oh, thank. Next slide, please. So please take a picture of this slide. This slide has the QR code, so you can send it to your friends as well, too. You can put it up on social media. This slide, I encourage everybody from October 5th through the 22nd, we will have that survey open. Make sure to visit that website. Share this with your friends. Share this with your neighbors. Let's make sure everybody has a chance to participate, as many people as we can throughout this process. Next slide, please. Okay. If you have further questions, we have this slide up here as well, too. This is for the email for the project manager, John Jones, in the back. That's his direct email at the top there. Parks Master Plan at hermosabeach.gov if you want to email him directly. If you don't want to use the feedback button, send it to him. He'll send it to me. There's also the project webpage, the city's e-newsletter, as well as social media applications that you can follow us along. Follow the city along, follow the project along. Next slide, please. So without further ado, I've talked enough. We're going to get started with the workshop process here in just a minute, but Lisa, I think you want to wrap us up, right?
I do. Thank you, Zach. I just wanted to end the presentation as previously mentioned with an overview of the last Parks Master Plan that the city did. And Kaylin, I just realized I wasn't telling you next slide, so you're a magician back there. Okay, so the last time we did a Parks Master Plan was in 1990, and this plan provided recommendation and goals through the year 2010. So some of the goals that were met from that plan included the creation of a seasonal recreation brochure. That was something that the department did not have in advance of the plan. And we still do that to this day. We produce twice annually the Live Hermosa Recreation Brochure, which is full of all the city's classes, camps, leagues, excursions, and special events. And an upgraded community center was done and included the creation of the Hermosa 5-0 Senior Activity Center. We installed the skate park at the community center and more parkland with the addition of South Park and the expansion of Edith Rodaway Park. So since 2010, the city's recreation facilities and services have certainly evolved. We have the addition of new facilities and programs, including our second-story theater at the community theater, our beach tennis courts, our pickleball courts, and the park after-school program. It is very common for cities to adopt a new Parks Master Plan every 20 to 30 years. So we are right on track for us to be developing a new Parks Master Plan because it's been just about over 30 years since our last. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll hand it back over to Zach. There were some interesting highlights. So the one that comes to the top of my mind was an indoor bowling alley. That was actually a recommendation in the 1990 Parks Master Plan. I should mention another recommendation that came out of that plan was the outdoor roller hockey rink that was at South Park. I believe that was actually because of the Parks Master Plan done in 1990, but you know, recreation changes over time, and that facility became misused and is now where we have our community garden. But the one that comes top of mind is the indoor bowling alley. That was a big surprise for me to see as a recommendation.
Bowling alley. Okay, now I want to make sure if anybody puts bowling alley on the sheets, I know why we're going to have bowling alley on them. So let's start listening. I will be, just before we break into groups here, I will be the last person out of the room tonight. So feel free to come up, chat with me for anything and everything. At the end of the night, I will be here. I will be the last person out. I'll get to you, Gary. But let me get us kind of organized here first, and then I'm going to come over to Gary here. I'm going to go around the room and I'm going to count 1 through 6. Pretty easy numbers for me to remember. Hard for me to remember 30 plus numbers. So there are a couple chairs here on the side if we need extra chairs. I think we're good with 6 groups, right, Kristen? 6 groups. Okay, so she's Arnie, you've been to my workshops before. There's no mystery here anymore. You'll notice the tables are listed. Once I call your number, please go to your tables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Barbara, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the staff is in the back. All right. Well, then let's go ahead and find our tables and we'll begin. All right. If you can, I already used the clapping trick, didn't I? Let's do it again. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. If you can hear Alex clap. All right, now you can clap. All right. So what we're going to do, if you remember my past workshops, there is large format sheets for each table. And on your table is a large marker. Can you please hold up that marker? Let me make sure everybody has it. Hold it up high. Congratulations, you just volunteered. So that's a new one. I just came up with that one last week. Volunteers, if you would. Volunteers, your job is to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak at your table. But before we do, we're going to pass out a blue sheet of paper. Now, this blue sheet of paper has a couple questions on it. First, are you a resident? Yes or no? How many years you've lived here? And then the individual exercise is, if you would please, before you mark anything, read the list. It's a rather long list of all of the park and facility needs that have been identified that we've heard thus far. And I'd like you to choose your top 5. Top 5 park feature and our recreation facility you would like most to see added or improved within the city. Before you mark on them, though, we're going to take 2 minutes to read it, and then I'm going to ask if we're missing something. So 2 minutes to read it. about 30 more seconds, 30 seconds. Okay, if you would please make sure your name and group number are written at the top of that. That's just so I know I'm not getting extra sheets from people, but I know it was somebody from the community who came in tonight. I will not put your name on anything. It's just for me to see, yes, I got X amount of sheets tonight. Now, if you would please, is there something missing that is not on this list and should be? Raise your hand. Okay, I got one right here. What? Community, so all right, so let's add, if you will see other on the bottom right-hand corner, we're gonna add community theater renovation. Is that accurate? Community theater renovation. If you would please add that one in. I'm gonna work my way around here. Is the same one, okay? Leaves in the park. So can we say, how about maintenance of insects or fleet? You want to say flea maintenance?
Where's the dog? Go.
Flea maintenance? Okay, if you would, please, I have an additional one to add there as the next other. Add fleet. Can I have your attention, please? I want to make sure everybody hears these because at the end of the night, it's my job to record your voices and I want to make sure I record them all correctly. Please add as the next other, flea maintenance, flea maintenance, flea maintenance. Dave? Nice to know. Beach volleyball resources, nothing wrong with that. Beach volleyball. If you would please, on the third other, please add beach volleyball maintenance. Beach volleyball maintenance. I'm coming around here. Yes. You can, if you want, I can bring up library improvements.
One was missing because it's not a city need.
Okay.
Is that true or not?
Well, I'll tell you what, let me have John answer that one specifically, because I think it is, yeah. Correct. All right. That's Tara, correct?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Okay, yes. Let's add, I'm going to add one on if I can, please. Let's add one on. This is going to be the fourth one, correct? This is the fourth one. In addition to, I know we had flea maintenance. We're going to add on mosquito maintenance. Is it appropriate to put that together? So we're going to put that together. So we're going to say flea, mosquito, and bug maintenance for that first one. Flea, mosquito, and bug maintenance. Maria, then. Okay. If you would please, we're gonna have a couple extra on this. If I can have your attention, we're gonna add greenbelt plant maintenance. specifically Foxtail. Is that correct? Another one. Do you want to add that to Greenbelt improvements? Let's do add / Foxtail. Okay, we can add it on the left-hand side, if you'll notice. Six up from the bottom. Greenbelt improvement / wood chip maintenance landscaping, we can add the Foxtail onto that. I'm coming right around to you, Gary. Do activities. Yeah, just facilities. Yes, Gary.
So, each tennis court expansion and retention rate volleyball.
Beach tennis courts. I like that. All right. Can you please add for the last one here, bottom right-hand corner, beach tennis courts, beach tennis courts. Thank you. All right. So if you would please take the next 5 minutes, we're gonna do 5 minutes and pick your top 5. So pick your top 1, pick top number 2, top 3, top 4, and top 5. So you should have 5 selected. Pick your top 5 park feature and recreation facilities you would like to see most added or improved within the city. We'll take 5 minutes for this one. Okay, volunteers, it's your turn. If you would please, with your group, make sure you come up as a group. As a group, this is the hard part. It's going to be a challenge. And I only have 2 questions tonight. So our first one is, as a group, come up with your top 3 park, feature, or facility. We're going to do programs next. Hint, hint, programs are next. Your park, feature, or facility, your top 3 as a group. Top three. It's not a race, but group 4 has already started writing their top 3 down. So when you've got your top 3 as a group, make sure you write them down on your poster board. Just a few more minutes, a few more minutes. So make sure you're going to write down your top three on your charts. A few more minutes. About one more minute, about one more minute. Okay. If you can hear the sound of my voice, please, I like that. I wasn't even telling a joke yet. If you can hear the sound of my voice, please clap once. If you can hear the sound of Paul clap, please clap twice. Paul didn't even clap. Awesome. That was a trick. What we're going to do is we're going to start here and we're going to work our way around the room presenting. We're going to let group 3 wrap up their top 3 while we present. If I could have group 2's volunteer come on up and tell me about your top 3 park feature or facilities you would like to see added or expanded within the city. Come on up, Jan. Here you go. Use this.
We were pretty consistent. Our top 3, number 1 was lighting. There were 4 of us that voted for that. And strand improvement specific, the bike lanes split with the walk lanes. Number 2, and of course, dog park. These 2 tied. And the rest of them were scattered around different ones, but these 3 we were solid with.
Well, let's give group 2 a round of applause. Nice, solid. Now, I get asked every now and then, well, what about the rest of our answers? I record every one of your individual sheets. And we go through this process with every one of our workshops. So please make sure you mark them down on your sheet of papers and you have your name and group number attached to them because we go through everything. If I can have group 1's volunteer.
We had an issue. So, first we all agreed that accessibility throughout any new projects, wherever we are in the city, we'd like to see better accessibility. The Clark complex, so some people might say we cheated, but that is everything that's down at Clark Field. So that would be the Clark building, the basketball courts, everything. So we pushed our limit. Everything, the baseball field, the community center was number 3, but we went rogue because there was a disagreement. So 3.1 is the beach, strand, and pier. So we did not have 3 strong. We had 4+ strong.
I love the creativity of group 1. Well done. Let's give group 1 a round of applause. Well done, group 1. This is not an easy task. It is not. It's quite simple. You know, people ask me, really, Zach, we're going to go how long for 2 questions? It's a lot of work. All right, group 6. If I can have your volunteer present, please, Dave.
All right, strand improvements along the strand. Like this group here, we are very creative. Clark Field, Clark Complex, we lumped into 1. If that is not allowed, then we slid the Clark Complex down to 3, with the lawn bowling being part of that. If not, then restroom improvements, especially on the beach areas. But yeah, we're all in agreement with everything here in the top 3.
Thank you very much, Dave. That is extremely creative. I like how you went with the same creative route of Clark Field, but then you gave me options in there too of if it gets split up, it breaks down, but they're all on there. I love it. Let's give group 6 a round of applause. Well done. Group number 5. Do we have a volunteer here? No. Very definitive on that. Come on, Gary.
No, but wait for my assistant, collaborator, lead, president of the organization to finish. Okay. So number one was Clark Building improvements, including getting it together with the lawn bowling and an improved PA system and Little League facility. Number two was surrounding cleanliness issues around the city, including mosquitoes and fleas, strand dog poop, and all the trash around the people fishing on the pier. The three was a two-parter. Increasing recreation areas. Part A was on the beach, including beach tennis. Part B was off the beach, including a swimming pool and a large park. How'd I do? Good. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Gary. Let's give group 5 a round of applause. Well done, well done. All right, I'm coming over here, group number 4. Okay, who's our volunteer? Miles?
Yep.
Thank you, Miles.
So our top 3 was actually a top 19, but we narrowed it down to strength improvements, which was also somewhat with the bike lanes or the e-bike enforcement, and also walkability. Number 2, which was very emotional, was dog parks, very loud, a lot of poop stories. Number 3, like I said, bike lanes, and that's for the ease of riding and e-bike enforcement. And of course, lawn bowling was really number 1, but I let them put it as 3.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Miles. Let's give group 4 a round of applause. I love it. Okay, last but not least, group number 3. Well done, group 3.
All right, so I think I want to say respect to the lawn bowling people who came in force today. So you are smart and I see you. We all wanted different things. So this is the best we could come to summarize is a Clark complex that includes the field improvements, improved lighting, a swimming pool, maybe where the tennis courts are, since we have other tennis courts, and improve the lawn bowling facility. So that's all sort of in one. Also, we'd like to see accessibility be improved. And then also we would like to preserve the open spaces.
Let's give you a round of applause. Please put all of the blue papers in the center. I'm going to collect those at the end. All of the blue papers in the center of the table. And if you would please, now we're going to pass out a yellow sheet of paper. Now, some of you, I noticed, looked at the sheets behind these ones. You know what we're doing next. The next one is programs. This deals specifically with programs. So as we pass them out, please go ahead and start reading the list. There's a list similar length as the facilities. What we're going to do is put your name and group number at the top. And then we're going to come up with our top 5 programs, classes, or activities you would most like to see added or improved within the community. But before we rank them, I would like you to read them first. And then I'm going to ask if we're missing something. So read them first, 2 minutes. All right. As I hear the voices start to go, raise your hand if you think we're missing something and would like to add it to the list. Tara. please add, to be specific on this one, Hermosa Beach Kids Volleyball classes. Hermosa Beach Kids Volleyball classes. Raise your hand if there's another. Okay, here's the hard part. Please rank your top 5. So every piece of paper we collect tonight will have a name, I'm sure. And on it, your top 5, 1 through 5 programs, classes, or activities you would like to see added or expanded within the community. All right, it sounds like you have already moved into the group discussion. Volunteers, if you would please, make sure everybody gets a chance to talk and come up with your group's top 3 programs. Top 3. About 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. About 2 more minutes. Okay, for our very last question of the night. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. There we go. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. All right. Woo. Okay, just for that, group one gets to go first. That was amazing, group one, better than I could have done. Group one, if you would please read your top 3 point, okay. 3.1, let's go, group one.
First, I would like to say that people aren't homeless. People are Italian or Mexican or German. They're not homeless. To refer to someone as homeless as a way of being is not a very PC thing. It's not very humanizing. And for a person that says everything that I want to at a city council meeting, I'm not going to stop here. I think homeless or security to prevent homeless from overnight camping is both offensive and dehumanizing to the people who live here or live in their cars, or people like me who were once homeless. So think about your words, y'all. Second, concerts on the beach were awesome. We would like to continue that, maybe do more. Same with theater programs. Also, code enforcement is lacking a bit, and we would love more e-bike and dog code enforcement, dog poop enforcement. Also 3.1, again, farmers market. We would love to see an expansion there.
Well done, group one. I love, but really don't want to hear the poop stories. Group 6, let's go around the room here. Group 6, please.
Hello, we had code enforcement also, e-bikes and dogs and such. Funding, just overall increase in funding for programs and support for the Little League.
Great, perfect. Straight to the point. Thank you very much. Round of applause for group 6. Okay, perfect. Group 5.
Group 5 concerts, I think it's wonderful and we want more. Number 2 is I live by the park. I have people in tents and it's not fun at all. So we did voted to prevent, to take actions to prevent people tenting in parks. And number 3 is promote all existing and possibly extend and add some programs, including but not limited to all ages, including all ages, lawn bowling and beach tennis.
Beach tennis. Beach tennis, right? All right, let's give groups 5 a round of applause. I'm gonna come in around the backside here and we're gonna come over here to group number 4. Who's our volunteer here? All right, Miles. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're changing our name with the fun group.
For the fun group.
Yeah.
Okay, I like
So we took everything that's fun, concerts, special events, theater for kids, for families, for adults, for everybody. Everything that's on the list that's fun, we wanted as number 1. And then we said, if you aren't having fun, we don't want you in a sandbox. So we're the code enforcement, number 2. So behave.
I love it. I love it. Let's give group 4 a round of applause. Well done, group 4. All right, group number 3. Let me come around the room here. Who's our speaker here? Tara? All right.
Okay, so we asked the question ahead of time, are concerts, movies and events already happening? It was confirmed that they are. So then we didn't spend our votes on that. So we're assuming that that's all coming back because of course that's what all of Hermosa wants. But beyond that, we want swim lessons and programs for seniors, programs, all kinds of swim programs. And 2, we have a lot of consensus about wanting theater, more additional theater programming. And then the third thing is skate park programs and reevaluation of the skate park, but it's under programs. So we're programs. Okay.
Wonderful. Let's give group 3 a round of applause. I like this. There's a pattern. Group 1, you put 3.1 on the bottom, but group 3, you put like a 0.9 here, pre-1, and still got them in. Well done. I love the creativity of this group. Last but not least, with art this time. I love this. I'm excited for this presentation. Group 2.
So first, before I give a list, I will also add that more staff and more funding is definitely needed for our Parks and Rec department. That shouldn't even be on the list. That should be, we all want that because they need it, Lisa. Number 1, concerts. We were happy to do it this year as the chamber. We are thrilled the city's taking it on after this. Theater programming, we'd love have more use of our community theaters, both Second Story and the big one. The State of the City was fantastic in there. We should do more fun stuff in there. And then movies, why not?
Awesome. Let's give group 2 a round of applause. So remember, I mentioned those common threads earlier. I mentioned them in the first workshop, the second workshop tonight. We do that. So please make sure you write your names at the top of your paper and I look at everything you've written down and we look for common threads, not just on these boards, but in everything we record and everything we get from the community through the surveys, through the multimodal surveys, through the feedback, which is still available. Now, I do have a couple questions before we end tonight. And if you don't mind, please, out of curiosity, how many people this is your first workshop? I got some new ones. Thank you very much for coming. How many people came to the very first workshop? Welcome back. I didn't scare you away after 2 workshops. How many people came to the first and second workshop? My veterans of the group, and you're here for the third. Gosh, thank you so much. If you would please, out of kind of that, going back to that curiosity, how do we reach out to the community? How do we reach out to the public? I would like to ask you, just by raising your hands, how you heard about the workshop tonight. If you heard about it on social media, please raise your hand. 1, 2, keep them up. 1, 2, 6, 6. If you heard it on the city calendar, you saw it on the city calendar, please raise your hand. 1, 2, okay, 2. If you heard about it in the school district, please raise your hand. All right. If you heard about it word of mouth. Great community. Keep them up, keep them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15. If you got an email from city staff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. If you got it in the e-newsletter. 1, 2, 4. If you got an announcement at a commission meeting. If you got an announcement at a commission meeting, I know we have some commissioners here. 4. If you got a flyer around town, anybody see any flyers? Last one, city council meeting. 2, 4 on that. Got other emails from residents or neighbors. See who's passing the word around. 1, 2. All right, 2 on that other emails. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want to thank you for your participation tonight, but it does not end. I'm gonna come with it. It does not end. Please talk to your friends, your neighbors, talk to as many people as you can around town. Make sure we get this word out because this process is not over. The survey starts tonight. Can we have the screen up just in case anybody missed the slide? We're going to put the screen back up with the website address on there and the QR code so you can take a picture of that. If you didn't get a picture of it, share it with your friends, post it on social media, let other people know so that they can take part too. Big round of applause for everybody who showed up tonight. Thank you very much. You guys were amazing. The comments, the questions, all of your thoughts and ideas, I really appreciate. I am up here for any questions that you have. Come on up.